Hi, my name is Sergio Araneda. I am a research scientist at Cavion the Security, and today I will demo some of the functionalities we have in our platform called Scorpion, in which you can do automatic item generation and create what we call smart items. Smart item is a template, an item template that can be used directly actually in some instance of the test. So instead of using the template to create items and then use the items, smart items can be used directly as a template added to a test as if were an item. So it's kind of like cutting one step in the automatic item generation classical view and using directly a whole template. This approach has many advantages. And as we were working on smart items and how to build those, we realized that the way in which we were doing item templates slash smart items, that's how we call them in our platform, we already have a lot of little details there prepared to take advantage of generative AI. So in this demo, I'm going to show how to use ChatGPT to create smart items. So that's the demo that I'm going to do today. And I will show with an example, like how this can be done using ChatGPT and Scorpion, etc. So the interesting or the value of all of this is that usually automatic item generation, authors mention that if you can accelerate the process of creating an item template, that can be very good. And right now, using generative AI, you can actually help an item writer, for example, to create not just an item, but an item template much faster, and also kind of saving a lot of time on the programming part of it that can be done now with ChatGPT. So for this demo, I'm going to start with a few prompts. This is like a table of prompts that we have been developing in our side, like how exactly we can use ChatGPT to create smart items. So this is a sequence of prompts that will show how to use this. So for example, I will start by asking ChatGPT to create a multiple choice question for sixth graders. Okay. So ChatGPT is creating like one question. I ask it for sixth graders using the common course state standards. And after you have a question created, then you can ask ChatGPT to create code. And Scorpion, we have a way in which you can create item templates using JavaScript. So I will ask ChatGPT to create a piece of code in JavaScript that generalizes the question. So here is on ChatGPT to kind of like interpret like how exactly do I generalize this. So you see that it's understanding that if I want to generalize, should be like these ABCD numbers and then taking random integers and creating functions, etc., that can make this question happen. And actually here, ChatGPT is randomizing from 1 to 9. Eventually, we will need to ask ChatGPT to change that, but at least as a beginning, we can ask this. So after having, well, and this is the interesting part that some people sometimes they don't understand, ChatGPT is not only capable of creating text, but also it can create code. So the fact that it can create code, that's like very important thing when it comes to automatic item generation, because we can automatize not only the creation of items, but of item templates. So now I will ask ChatGPT to kind of update the code, but to follow the format that we use in Scorpion. So this is an example of an item in the format that Scorpion likes. And basically the main difference is that there is like this variable global item that is kind of assumed that it exists. So you need to populate this in order to, sorry, in order to create the item. So I will copy this and I will provide ChatGPT with this example right away. And then I will ask basically that, can you update the code in a way that follows the format of that example? So, okay, so it is apparently it's kind of simplifying functions and then creating destructors, creating a correct option. And you see that here, for example, option has a very specific format that is like text is correct, yes or no, etc. So now it is kind of like following that format. Is correct, etc. So it's into to this variable, it is adding the correct option with one, meaning this is the correct one, then adding the destructors. And then also following the same situation here of like global item dot stem dot whatever, kind of like including populating that. So now with this, actually, we can go to Scorpion and try to create an item. So I'll copy the rest, and I will go now to Scorpion to create an item. So now that ChatGPT created the code for us, it's going to be relatively easy for us to create an item. So here in Scorpion, I went to this project that is my personal project. I will create an item. And so I will create an item, and here I need to choose the type of item. So smart generator is the option to create smart items. I save this, and then here in the content, I need to edit the item to actually put. The first time you create a smart item, you need to choose if you are going to use the GUI, like the graphic user interface, that is kind of like a more user-friendly way, or the code editor. So in this case, we need the code editor because we are going to use the JavaScript. And I will just copy paste this code. So this is the code I generated using ChatGPT. I will save this. And here we need to cross our fingers, and it worked. Apparently the way in which the latex was written is not the way that Scorpion like it, but at least it could generate something that can be used eventually. So in this part is where you need a little bit more of programming knowledge, because if there is an error, then you will need to kind of be prepared to correct this. So for example, in this case, I will ask to remove the latex nomenclature, so it can kind of like just have regular symbols. So let's do that. Yeah. So yeah, here maybe is the part in which you kind of need to know a little more about programming. But it depends on the question sometimes too. This time it's only a latex thing. latex thing, sorry. But yeah, I mean, sometimes it's not that bad. And yeah, let's wait for this to finish. So now I have version of the code. Can go to Scorpion. Change this. Let's see. So now I have like more classical symbols, and that's fine. That's a question. That's a question that we can use now. Here, for example, there's a problem. You see that there is a repetition of options. So here's where sometimes you will need to kind of improve or ask from better for the creation of the item in a way that you solve those things. And here's when actually you do need a human. You will need to have a human being doing this. So if I correct actually there. So yeah, I just kind of like explicitly commanded ChatGPT to say, okay, I want you to have like one key only not repeating the destructors and the destructors different from themselves. So yeah, let's see how ChatGPT responds to this. And after you have some code that is working and you can use, then you can enhance the creation of the item. So, for example, in the case of destructors, we have been trying like different ways in which how destructors can be created in a better way. When you read the literature on item development, you see that in general, it's like a best practice to associate destructors with mastery levels, or sometimes with common mistakes, or sometimes with a more kind of cognitive diagnostic model view in which you can have like prerequisites and you can like associate like a distractor with what response would give a person that has like a partial knowledge on something. So this is like a set of prompts that we have been exploring and researching, like how to improve the creation of destructors, which can be a problem. You just saw that sometimes ChatGPT is not capable of doing this. So let's write that. Let's see what ChatGPT does. So here ChatGPT is actually creating a cognitive model, basically, like and creating mastery levels or whatever. In this case, it's mastery level because I ordered that. So yeah, with this, hopefully remembers the instruction also having like different destructors. And finally, what you can do also is to ask for the stem to be improved with certain criteria. So also we have been exploring this idea of asking ChatGPT to make an item culturally relevant for a certain group. In my experience, I've seen that adding this phrase helps a lot ChatGPT to don't fall into stereotypes, kind of like explicitly asking for a certain culture to look empowered and capable. And we have been seeing like very interesting initial results on that. Also, you can explicitly say that I want this item to elicit a certain type of experience. So if you want to have, I don't know, like experience of certain type during your test. Do you want, for example, student to feel comfortable, or do you want your student to feel understood, or I don't know, whatever you have in your mind in terms of requirement, more thinking on how the examinee experiences test, you can add that, which is kind of connected with culturally relevance and responsiveness, and many concepts are kind of related about um, this attempt to be more empathetic with the examinee. So let's see how this is working. And so we're going to update the code. Okay, so here apparently it changed the number of options, which is not good. Yeah, well, for example, here, because ChatGPT added this variable mastery level, apparently that is not like, it's connecting with something different with the format of the item. These are the details in which sometimes you need to know a little bit of programming to get off the bug at the moment. But you see the gist of how to create the code of this. And definitely you require some back and forth. It's not completely fully done immediately, but yeah, you can continue and improve this. And let me do a final request asking for the stem of the item to be culturally relevant. So I will put some group here. I don't know. Let's see. So you see that it's generating a different story. And here there's like a successful entrepreneur in Brazil is trying to kind of like separate shares. So you see how this is, I'm not sure if this is the right way to do it, but let's see. Change the stem. And here is something again in which you need to kind of know a little bit of programming. Here we'll kind of force the question to be changed to the stem. Sorry, just realized what's the best way to do this. So you just need to change this. This code. It should be working. Let's see. Yes. So now the stem is also kind of corrected. And you see that it's kind of like including this idea of an entrepreneur from Brazil, which supposedly it would be better for a person come from Brazil. to respond to this question. And yeah, and that's it. All the generation of this code is very easy, as you can see. In just a little bit, we created very initial draft of an item template. And also the interesting thing is that you can continue the improvement of this code by continuing asking ChatGPT to solve different type of things. So you can rely a lot in the new capacities of large language models to create code, which is automatizing basically the process of item template creation. So it's a kind of like automatic item generation. Yes, that's it. Thank you very much.